You're listening to the Breezy Moms podcast on Digital Stream Radio.
Hey everyone, you're listening to the Breezy Moms podcast, a weekly show that chronicles the adventures of motherhood. I'm Candace. Now let's start the show. Hey.
Hey, what's going on, Candace?
I'm good, Tom. How are you?
Candace D is in the house, and it's Thursday.
That sounds like something from the 90s, like the Heavy D would say at the beginning of something.
But you are like a 90s child,
I am.
right?
I am a 90s.
Brings back memories.
I know. I wasn't born in the 90s. Let's be clear about that. But I was
young.
Young. I grew up in the 90s. Yes.
That's your era.
That's why I'm thinking about Heavy D, right? That's my reference. It's good. It's going really well. I'm freezing. The temperature drop. I shouldn't say that because some people live in the Midwest where it is actually like frozen bubbles outside, freezing.
Yeah.
Like
you throw a cup
all
of
those
water in the
videos,
air
of the boiling water and it turns to snow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be disrespectful of Midwest cold, especially because our guest tonight is on the line in Chicago. But for me, this New England 20-degree weather, it's like it's hurting me on the inside.
Well, it gets into your bones,
and you can't get it out.
And that's also her way of saying, "Tom, turn up the heat."
Lord.
And I did,
Lord,
but
have
it's
mercy, I'm cold.
69. I'm not going to put it.
Oh yeah, you shouldn't go any higher. No, it's just. But it's in my bones, and it doesn't help that we're drinking spiked seltzer.
Well, we just
I should have asked for a hot toddy. Is what I should have asked for.
That would have been nice.
That probably would have helped.
The ingredient? I probably do.
You probably do.
One of these days. There's so much alcohol.
Next time.
So
the resident bartender.
So how's it going?
So I'm good. Other than being like frigid cold, I hate talking about the weather, but I always do.
And I know y'all can't see, but she still has her coat on.
Coat, sweater.
Like her full-fledged
You're lucky I don't have
coat.
gloves on. I didn't bring my fingerless gloves.
Nasty.
I'm going to start packing them in my bag. But so I'm good. And actually, this week has gone by like ridiculously fast.
Yes, it has.
And you could say that about every week, every year, decades, but it feels like crazy fast. I didn't know today was Thursday for a while into Thursday.
Yeah, I was like literally faced into my keyboard today at work, and I look up and it's 5:30. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I left at 5:30 today. I was there since 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, that's long.
Long day.
That is a long
day.
But,
you do what you got to do.
I know. And thankfully, the whole round of my clients all picked up around 4-ish. By like 4:15, they were all gone, which is way earlier than generally at 5:30. And so I'm thankful. I'm also thankful that it's staying lighter outside for longer. So the cold, I feel like, even though spring, I don't believe that spring is around the corner. I don't know when it's coming, but I don't believe it's around the corner. But I do.
March 21st to spring.
I know. I guess so. That's like 3 weeks.
Yeah, we're almost there.
We're almost there, but winter just like drags on.
Yeah.
But I feel a break. I feel like my SADS is letting up. The SAD stands for seasonal affect disorder, something like that, where you get like bluesy in the wintertime. I feel like it is easing.
Well, I think we're gaining
with
about 2
sun.
minutes worth of light every afternoon, every day.
And
you can see it because it was almost 6 p.m. We still had that twilight.
Yeah, it's
dawn
really nice.
out there. So I'm excited. I
It's
can't wait for
little
9 p.m. to be like still light out.
Yeah,
I'm outside grilling. And,
right. So we're just looking forward to it. And James said this morning, he was like, I'm never complaining about the summer. I promise you, I will not complain about a single day in the summer.
3 weeks in. This is too
hot.
So,
yeah, I'm listening.
How are your boys?
They are great. I felt like today I pulled an old school mom, maybe like a grandma thing on them. They like to just talk now that Lincoln is almost 5. So he likes to, he's grown up. He learned how to make pancakes on his own in the toaster oven. And so we have this, I showed him how to put it in the toaster oven. And part of making the pancakes is also making sure you close back the freezer because the first time he did it, he just walked out and the freezer door was wide open. Right? You throw away the plastic from the
Come
pancakes.
back, all your meat is thawed out.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. It's like a small thing. Oh, he knows how to make pancakes, but I feel like there's a lot of other responsible parts that he's learning.
Or I see a small bed and breakfast in the future.
No.
All of a sudden he'll be rolling up with a little tray with pancakes and all that good stuff.
Yeah, no, we're not there. But I am enjoying don't get distracted. Stop it.
I can't. So we have a guest today, right?
Right. So we have a guest and she's online and we can see her face and a cute dog just jumped up on her.
And I just forget
Tom
it. I
can't
lost
handle it.
I have 2 babies of my own.
I know.
Okay,
well let's finish so then we can bring her on.
So tell me. So your boys.
So he's making pancakes and so he thinks he's grown. He knows how to make pancakes and he knows how to use the remote, the I don't know what this thing is called, the Fire TV, the Fire Stick TV remote. So not only does he know how to use the remote, but he knows how to navigate the menu on the television, which is basically like a computer. Anyway, they also know that if we lose the remote, we have remotes on our cell phone. So that means that they give 0 fucks about this remote. It's not important because if they can't find it, they're just like, oh, Mom, can you pull up your cell phone? Oh, what about your iPad? What, like they know all the bits, so they don't care about the remote. So anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, so the trick that I played on them is I was like, hey, we can't watch any shows until you find the remote. Lincoln wanted to watch. And he said, can't you just use your cell phone? I was like, first of all, no. I can, but then you wouldn't find the remote and you can't just be tossing the remote all over the house. So he went looking around, picked up a few pillows and he couldn't find it. I said, well, I guess we can't. He's like, not even on my iPad? I was like, no, you don't get to lose the remote, keep everybody else from watching TV, and then go off and use your iPad. So I told him, why don't you start cleaning up a little bit, and then maybe you'll find the remote. And he said, all right, fine. So they start cleaning up the toys in the playroom and stuff. Meanwhile, as soon as I got up, I found the remote underneath a blanket.
And
I slid it into the top of the mantle. And I was like, yeah, if we clean up, we'll probably find the remote.
Evil.
And I let them clean the whole playroom. It was wonderful. And then afterward, and he was like, we cleaned up and we didn't find the remote. We didn't even find the remote. I said, well, Lincoln, did you really look on the mantle? And he went up and he goes, oh, it's right on the mantle. See, Mom, I told you. I guess I did put it on the mantle. I was like, first of all, that's not where we were supposed to go with this. And in the end, I just
I probably would have just shoved it under the sofa and be like, go look under the sofa again. And, oh, I found it.
Yeah, I don't have time for all that. I'm not scared of him.
Because you know it's not going to work the next time. You'd be like, well, you got to clean up all your toys if you want to watch TV. He's like, no, it's on the mantle.
Okay, so maybe I'll put it in another place. I mean, the point is that I wasn't trying to hide it from him, right? Even if he saw me, the next thing would have been, well, we can't use the remote until we clean up the playroom. And I mean, that's the joy of being mom, right? I get to make the rules as I go. You just roll with it.
Nasty.
So anyway, the fact that I have to have these kinds of conversations with him are just weird, right? He's almost 5. He's like a real little person and he's talks back and has thoughts about, if we try to just give him a throwaway line, he really thinks through it and he's like, oh, but that can't be true because that's not what we did yesterday. Or you know what I mean? So we can't trick him.
In other words, the little man is catching up. It's catching on you on all your little.
So I'm gonna need to learn some more mom, grandma tricks because as they get older, you have to get better at your tricks. So anyway, that's how they are doing. And Emery's an old soul, so I feel like he's already there. It's just not exactly the same because he's not really talking. I mean, he talks, but he's not as verbal and.
Your guest is getting attacked by Chewbacca over there. It is too funny. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. So how's our other little man?
So he's also good. And when every day he speaks more and more clearly or is able to verbalize things in a way that he wasn't the day before. So it's a constant like joy when I hear him say something new. It's pretty exciting.
I'm telling you, you're going to blink and you're going to look back and you'll be like, my kids are in college.
I know.
What happened?
It's so weird. Well, I want to bring on Nicole because Nicole is actually, so all the thoughts. I have this like, problem. My brain like spitfires at so fast before my mouth even like, and I just choke on my tongue because.
Well, that's because your mouth is juicy. You say this all the time.
It's true. Anyway, so our guest tonight is Nicole, and Nicole is a lot of things. I'm going to say first, Nicole is my sister-in-law. She's married to my brother-in-law, David, who was on my very first episode. And I'm super excited to have her on specifically to review this movie, Alita, because she has her own show called Cinema Therapy.
And I was checking it out.
I know. It's
cute.
really great. It's her and her friend, and they talk about movies and film and TV and TV and film. And anyway, so she is in Chicago right now, calling in from Chicago, but her and David recently moved to Harlem, which means that I'm able to see them a lot more often. We've already seen them more often in the last 2 months than we had in the last 2 years. So I'm really excited to have her join us. Nicole, welcome.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. I was waiting for the right topic for us to be able to sink our teeth into. So I'm super
glad.
happy.
I have a lot to say.
So you have your own podcast, right? And it's called Cinema Therapy. And how long have you ladies been running around with the podcast?
So it's been going on since November of last year. We just recorded our 11th episode.
Yay!
Awesome.
It's been so much fun. Yes.
I'm so proud of you. I remember when you were thinking about it and like thinking about what you wanted to do and how you were going to do it. And it's just incredible. It's like a little, I hate when people compare everything to babies, but it's like a little baby. Not a human baby, but you know, like
I'm
a
really
baby.
Proud of it. It's crazy because I feel like a lot of times everyone thinks about starting a podcast. We all think our voice is the most interesting voice, right? Or at least I do.
Hey, listen, we all do. There's a listener for everybody. That's what I learned early on.
Exactly. We all have a story. So, so I came to New York and knew that I wanted to get out of my comfort zone. So I was looking for opportunities to kind of do that. And really early on in being there, I moved to New York in late October. I was reconnecting with one of my close friends in the city, and we were just having such a great time bantering. Like the conversation between us, I think, is so entertaining and it flows so easily. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like, this would be so interesting for other people to hear.
I love it.
Well, I thought so.
It is.
So we kind of had to think of what, how we could carve our own space and what would make it interesting and personal. And I feel like Karen and I, our conversations a lot of times veer into therapy sessions. Mm-hmm. We like to talk about our feelings. We like to vent. We like to affirm each other. And, I've known her since kindergarten. So this is a person I feel very comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And another thing we really connect well with is regarding film and TV. We both have really intense feelings about a lot of movies and TV shows. Karen cries at everything. She's an actress, so she loves to cry.
She's an actress. She has all the feelings.
All of them.
The feelings. She's so dramatic. I love it. So we thought that it would be interesting if we weren't just trying to review movies, but think about how it connects to our own lives and what lessons we learn from film. Mm-hmm.
I feel so bad for you right now. What's the dog's name?
Okay, so the dog's name is Langston. This is my friend's dog.
Langston, sit.
Yeah.
He can't hear you. She's got in headphones.
That's true.
Lord have mercy.
He is adorable. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but it looks like you're like being attacked by Chewbacca right now. It's so funny.
I am, and I'm trying to stay on message, but this little man, he's so aggressive with his love. Like, I love him so much, but he is just on you. What kind of breed are you? I know he's half poodle,
yeah,
labradoodle.
Yeah.
I love him, but man, he's just like always on top of me.
And now he brought you a toy. Listen, you're interrupting the show, Langston. I know you can't hear me.
Go to bed.
Go to bed.
So you were saying that, you know, your reviews and your conversations of movies usually tend to turn into these therapy sessions for you guys, and you were talking about how movies really, like, how they apply to you in real life and what lessons you learn.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt, but that was just hysterical.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, that's how we like to think about them. You know, we might have our own critical voice, but ultimately these movies are stories and they're trying to teach us something about the outer world as a whole. And that's how we try to discuss it. You know, we've been a pretty new podcast. So the first few episodes, we were trying to figure out how we wanted to structure the conversation. And the first two, we focused on just one movie or one TV show. And then we realized that we wanted to focus more on specific themes that might be evoked, or types of archetypes that you might see. So an example would be our Killer Women episode. And it's weird because I felt like that was one of our most therapeutic episodes, even though I don't have homicidal tendencies. It's just, I think a lot of women can relate to like feeling like, like I'm going to snap. Y'all are crazy. Right, why don't y'all listen to me? So it was a fun episode.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So where is your show syndicated right now?
So right now it's on Sky's Crescent Radio. So we live stream it there, and it lives on Spreaker.com, and we can also be found on Spotify.
Yay.
Nice. Are you shifting or planning to release on iTunes? It's one of the biggest podcasting services out there.
Yeah, that's where I would like to be. We are working on it. It seems like our producer believed that it would go automatically based on where our podcast lives. And she learned recently that it did not, that you had to submit it in its own application. So learning curve.
Yeah.
Go to Podcast Connect, hit, submit a podcast. You give them your feed. Within 2 days, it's up and running.
Yeah.
It should be up soon because she did submit it. So we should soon be on iTunes.
I love it. Yeah. Well, I love your show, and I was because I don't drive anymore. Like, it takes me so much long. Like, I used to listen to shows all the time when I was in the car, all like Road Warrior style, but now I don't go anywhere. And so I listen to shows now in like maybe 10-minute clips. And then I have to be careful of which, like, I can't even listen to your show, Tom, because my kids start repeating the things that you're saying, because I'm never in the car by myself. So it takes me a very long time to get through any of the shows, but
that last one was crazy.
I am making my way through the shows, and I was listening to the Oscar episode, which is the most recent one, and that one was pretty good. So I am enjoying it as a consumer, and also knowing that, like, you're my sister, right? Like, it's kind of it's really exciting for me to have people in the like our growing family, right? Although I think hopefully you're the last edition, right?
Well, listen.
But in our growing family, we have so much creative spirit in our family that I'm just excited by it all, and really happy to see you blooming in this way. So,
and one of the best things, like cross promotion. Right now, you're on Candace's podcast here, and she knows about your podcast. One of the best things that you can do is, for example, take the audio from the show and release it on your podcast and say,
for sure,
here's an episode that I did with a friend of mine who also has a podcast. And one of the best things that podcasters do is always cross promote. And they're so open to bringing other podcasters onto their shows and talk, because that's how people get noticed. That's how people know who you are, and that you're out there. It's a great opportunity all around to just really engage with other podcasters.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you know each other and it's personal, it's even better.
It's awesome.
Yes, love the business development.
I know, right?
Thank you.
Always be thinking about business, right? Oh no, that's not the saying. The saying is always be selling.
That's right.
That's the saying.
That's
They
right.
both work.
But they both. Okay, so you and David were actually visiting the other day, and the first thing I remember thinking was you and David got to the house first, and then when his parents, when our in-laws arrived at my house, like I feel like you and I greeted them at the door, and it just made me think. Earlier you said the time goes by. I was just imagining, like, what about when I'm visiting Lincoln and Emery is also visiting, and they both of their wives show up at the door when you know what I mean? Like, I just had this like interesting fast forward, like flash forward moment, and I really couldn't handle it. I was like, no, not ready for
Not that fast.
not that fast. But it's so, I think, because I'm a mom now and I'm a mom of 2 boys, I feel like I can I feel like James and David's parents, they're always really excited to see all of us together.
Mm-hmm.
And now I understand, kind of. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know, it's a thing, a weird thing that I couldn't understand before I had kids. Like, oh, we'll just get together and it'll be cool, whatever. So anyway, and then over the weekend, one of the nights that we were there, everyone was sort of like doing their own thing. And then you and I popped out and I was like, oh, I really want to see this movie. Would you be interested? Not realizing that you would like the same kind of, like, I watch Loud Nonsense and nobody else likes that. Everybody always vetoes my movie pick
I love
when we
sci-fis.
go into
Sci-fi
a group.
flicks.
And so when you were down to go watch Alita, I was like, yes! And so we basically just snuck away from the whole family, the kids, the in-laws, everybody. David was even sleeping, and went to see this movie. And I felt so, like, relaxed and relieved to be out of the house, but on my own. And then with, like, my new sister-in-law, it was just a cool, like, chill time. So I'm really glad we had that time to ourselves to do something that we obviously both like.
So you guys saw the movie the last time you were here. Was that?
Yeah, it was
last
just
weekend?
Saturday. Yeah,
Oh,
was
so
just
that
past
was
Saturday.
just recently.
Really
Yep.
recent.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so we went to see this movie, and I loved it and immediately wanted to talk about it. So let's just jump right in to. I feel like we shouldn't do a review. We should do a little like cinema therapy style, sort of talking about sort of greater themes and how the movie may or may not have affected you. So why don't you give your first reaction to the movie? How did you feel about it?
So when I saw the trailers for the movie, I was actually a little turned off. I wasn't sure about how I would feel about the film just because of the aesthetic of the main character. Her
the big eyes.
If you haven't seen the image, her eyes are really exaggerated and large. They're like triple the size of like Emma Stone's eyes. And it's just like,
and they're always watery.
Yeah,
it's like glistening,
just like a deer, you know. And then an extremely like heart-shaped head, and then everybody else was not animated.
Right.
And I actually like the aesthetic of having you know,
real
some
life
characters
people
who are animated and some who aren't, because I like a mix. I find it aesthetically interesting.
Yep.
But you could tell it was based on a manga character just because of like how intense her face looked.
Okay.
So at first I was kind of turned off by that, but after a few weeks, I kept seeing these like fight sequences in the trailer.
Yep.
And I was like, that looks like something I want to see,
Yes.
like woman power. I just like seeing women kick ass. So when you said that you wanted to see it, Candace, I was very relieved. I was like, okay, I can go see it with my new sis and enjoy this film. And I actually was super surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I did not expect it to like it as much as I did. my first impressions, I would say that they put a lot of work into the the style of the film and making the CGI look really crisp. And I think the actors were really great. The best parts were the fighting scenes.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, it was intense. It felt like when I was watching Creed and you're like, yes, like you feel intense with the fighting, like you're in it. I was just rooting for the whole time. Like I was screaming and stuff. I was like, oh no, don't do that. And like, oh bitch, like I was being I was really into the film. Could the story have been better? Yes.
Yeah.
There were some parts that I guess like the story didn't feel completely
thought out,
fleshed out. Yeah. Like it was just like kind of simplistic in form. She's this amnesiac and she's trying to figure out her past, but she knows that she's a teenage girl. And what moves the story forward is her relationship with the man who found her, Dr. Dyson.
Now, this was an adaptation, though. It was an adaptation from like a comic style series.
Yeah, a manga. I think it was Japanese manga series. So I appreciate that it has some source material. I don't know how accurate it was to the source material, but I feel like they limited the story because they really left you on a cliffhanger. So maybe it wasn't technically like how the comic would have been because maybe it was too much content.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a part 2.
Yeah. Well, they're leaving openings for a sequel, which I think they definitely should get.
I would love it. I don't know if they've made enough money
to
recoup how much money they spent. It didn't have like the greatest first weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I loved the movie, and like I said, my favorite movies are like loud nonsense, like intense fight scenes. And I realized lately that I like the style of fight scene that goes just like 10 or 15 seconds longer than normal, because it sort of like grabs you in the stomach, and then just when you think it's gonna let go, it twists. And then you're like, I need a break. Like I need a minute to like unclench my jaw or to like breathe. And they're like holding you on, sucking out like every last ounce of oxygen that you have. And then when you let go, when the sequence is over, it's such a relief that like, I feel this is what you're saying about really feeling the intensity of all of the different action sequences. I mean, I thought it was incredible. It would have been better if the story was better, but like if it was more fleshed out, like you said, it would have been over the top, right? Like it would have been Avatar. That's how I feel, and I feel like we should talk. I don't want to jump ahead, but like I feel like those are the things that I like more about Avatar than this, which I compare the two. I mean, James Cameron is a producer on this movie, so he definitely had a hand, and you can see and feel it. So I thought it was incredible. And the animation, I can't think of any other movies that I've seen where on the screen at the same time there's the CGI character and the live character. I'm not saying this is the first time it happened. It's just like in my memory of movies that I care about. It's some I've seen like live people and cartoons, but not this. It's either even in Avatar. Well, I guess in Avatar they did have the avatars with the people. Yeah. I guess they did. It just seems different. I'm not thinking of it but it just seems different. It's not immediately coming to mind. Oh, this is like that movie.
Well, in the one of the last scenes in Avatar, you see where Sigourney Weaver's character is injured, and they bring her to the tree as a human.
Yes, that's true. And I will say that those scenes with the avatars and the humans in Avatar, I feel like they weren't as crisp as the scenes in Alita. I mean, the whole movie is like that. And the whole movie I feel like in Avatar, when they mixed the real people and the avatars, it looked kind of grainy. Like it
Okay.
looked kind of gritty. It didn't look like all seamless. You know what I mean?
It was definitely seamless,
This
the
thing was
world that they created.
seamless. Yeah.
hmm And for me having as many problems as I did, sorry, am I pausing? Can you hear
No,
me?
you're okay. You.
For me having as many problems I did with the image when I initially saw the trailer, when I saw the film, I was really much more comfortable. Like my eyes adjusted because they just made it so seamless. They did such a good job. You can tell like the technology they've been.
Yeah, it has been a long time
it.
since Avatar. It's been at least 10 years. I can't even believe it. I can't even believe it. Which means we should be close to like Avatar 2. Like it should be just around the corner. I don't know what's going on.
I wonder because I feel like a few years after Avatar, it got some criticism regarding the kind of like colonial themes in the film. I wonder how they would resolve it. And I also feel, well, she's fine. I was going to talk about what's her name?
Zoe.
Yes, Zoe Saldana. I was going to talk about her because she's had her problematic issues because she was going to play, or she did play.
She did play. Yep.
Being a whole 20 shades lighter than her. Yeah. I think she still has a career because she is green in what's that film?
Oh yeah, the
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. So you almost forget that it's her.
Exactly. So I was wondering if that would be an issue for the new Avatar, but no, it won't because she'll be blue. I think people would definitely see that film. I think like looking back at it, we're like, oh, maybe it wasn't as amazing as we thought it was.
Right. Well, compared, I guess James Cameron is a producer on this, so it makes sense that we're thinking about Avatar. But now when I think about Avatar, all of Avatar seemed way more cartoony than this one did. Because this one is, I don't know what the term is for what Avatar was, but this CGI or like whatever it's called, it looks like CGI and the other thing looks like animation. Like it doesn't look like real people. It looks more, this Alita looks more to me like there was a movie probably like 15 years ago called, I want to say it was called Spirit. And it was it was like that movie Spirit, and then Beowulf came out when they started making the definition so intense that you could see hair follicles. You know what I mean? Like when that happened in Beowulf, and all of a sudden the technology changed and the visual changed. Alita makes me think more of Beowulf and Spirit than it does Avatar, even though Avatar was supposed to be at the height of its.
Yeah, but when you think about Avatar, it came out in 2009. That's a decade ago. And so, jumpstart 10 years later, the CGI technology, I would hope, got better.
Yes.
So, if you didn't see an improvement in this movie, then, James Cameron, shame on you.
Right.
That's all I have to say.
That's true.
I was watching some of the movies and clips and stuff that they had online regarding the movie because I have not seen it myself. And I noticed that there's this very Pinocchio-esque theme, like, here's the person who found you. He's like your father. He's like your creator in a way, right? I don't want to give much of the movie away, but I am led to believe from what I see that this is someone that's found and put together.
Well, let's jump right into I feel like that takes us in a nice segue into the the therapy side of this, because there were these underlying themes for me, whether they were intentional with the movie or not, but these themes around female empowerment and women's empowerment, and this idea of being found and then put together. We'll spoil, the movie has been out for 3 weeks already. It's okay. So she is found, and then by this doctor who lost his daughter. And so when he is putting her together, he gives her the robot body that he was gonna give to his own daughter, which immediately bonds them, right? Like she has amnesia. She doesn't know who she is. And he wants help her, but he also wants her to fill this role, this need that he has. And I think that and then, 20 minutes later, she sort of realized that it's not enough for her, even as someone who doesn't remember who she is, it's not enough for her to just take on this identity that he is like basically trying to give her. And she needs to figure out who she is. Even if she has to figure out who she is now moving forward without remembering who she was, she still needs to make sure that she identifies that as something separate from what this man who's like technically found her is trying to put on her. And I think that's a reasonable thing that lots of women end up having to deal with, right? Are you going to be you, or are you going to be who this person wants you to be?
I also saw that she was a little conflicted with who she was in the past as she was rediscovering what her talent was, or her power, or her liking to just being rebellious and fighting back. She didn't realize that that's who she was, but as she kept learning more and more about herself and her past, she was conflicted with it. Because in a way that, like, for example, I say it in the sense that he was trying to impose this sort of kind of, you need to be like my daughter, for example, and this is what I would like for you to be. And you can see the conflict in her not wanting to do that, but wanting to sort of kind of follow the path of where it led her to rediscover who she was prior to not remembering much of what happened to her.
Yeah, so she does. The way that they show that in a, the difference between who she wants to be and who he wants her to be is when she ruins the body that he gives her, which was his daughter's body. When she ruins that and she gets the body that she should have, right? That the technology that she needs. It said one of the characters says, "Oh, turns out she's a little bit older than you thought she was," and it's like the body has like some nanotechnology that reflects itself on her like brain image of herself. And so the original body was like a 13-year-old, and when the new body came on, you could see she was like 19, right? Like she was like mostly grown, you know what I mean? And that was a way, like a practical way of distinguishing between who the doctor wanted her to be and who she actually was.
And she was also a weapon too, right?
She's not a weapon. She's a fighter. She's a soldier. She's
basically a soldier.
She's a soldier. Yeah, a cyborg soldier, and she's like she's got a human heart, or human brain, but like a cyborg heart. That's what it is. And the rest of her is cyborg.
A very sophisticated power supply of a heart,
which is why she was able to survive.
Yeah. I really appreciated the themes that you brought about his trying to force on this image that he has of her, especially like the symbolism of him putting his daughter's body on her. It makes it very clear, like, I'm imposing what I want you to be, rather than listening to what her spirit or what her memories are telling her she is,
or her words, what her words are saying.
Right. She is trying to be kind because she recognizes that this man, he experienced the loss. I can understand why he would want to have this connection with me, but she puts her foot down. She's like, look, I'm going to be this warrior because I can feel it in my metal. I know who I am.
I'm not your daughter.
Yes. And I was getting frustrated. I don't know if you saw me in my movie seat, but I like visibly went, oh, like, stop it. He said something like, this needs to stop, Alita.
Yeah.
You keep going out and fighting.
I don't want you outside after dark. She's like,
right.
I'm all the way grown. I don't know. I don't remember how grown, but I'm all the way grown.
Right. And it's very much, I can liken it to the adolescent woman's struggle of a father who might still see the younger body still there, but in actuality she's a woman and she's becoming a woman. You got to let her kind of figure out who she's going to be, and you can't impose whatever idea of identity you have on her. Like, they're going to be whoever they are going to be. Can't force her to be what you want. So
it's so funny because I'm not saying that we're way smarter than the writers of this movie, but it feels like these are deeper things that affect us, like makes me think about my young womanhood, right? And like different choices you had to make. I don't think they intended to write that in, but I love that I was able to watch this cyborg CGI character and think about myself, think about young women in different stages, right? Like there's when you graduate from college, but you have to move back home and you have to follow house rules, but you're all the way grown. You know what I mean? Like that's what I was thinking about.
What's the point of that? She was trying to put a curfew, and
meanwhile he's going out like killing people. It's insane. It's insane.
It's like, imagine the soldiers coming back from war and then their mom is like, okay, well, remember curfew.
Right.
They kept saying like, we need to bring down the alcohol drinking age because the soldiers coming back from war.
Oh
like God. There's some things like, I mean, I killed a man. Can you really tell me what to do?
So real. And then another thing that I remember thinking when you see in the first time that she sees the guy Hugo, right? I was like, oh shit, she's gonna fall in love. And then we have to deal with this like cyborg human thing. Like what's gonna go on? And I think on one hand I was really hoping that we could have a movie without a love, like that the love story could be about her and herself and not about her and this dude like on a motorcycle. Like it's always a dude on a fucking motorcycle. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then she gets all goo gaga and then like, but you were supposed to be finding yourself. You know what I mean? Like focus on you for a minute.
There was one part that was just really not feminist at all, honestly. Like I get what they were trying to do, but I don't know if I want to reveal this part, but
we're spoiling.
She says that she's so committed to her love interest in the film that she's willing to give like what is her most valuable,
her heart, her actual heart.
Yes. And it's a very desired item because it's actually really powerful. It could like run the whole city apparently. How much energy it can create. I was like, girl, stop it.
That's yours.
It felt like those Disney princesses,
right?
But on a scale that I couldn't handle. I was like, it's like, if you think about, it really made me think about The Little Mermaid. It's like someone giving one of the most essential parts of you because you feel this attraction to this man. I'm like, chill.
There are lots of men. There are lots of men out here.
Why couldn't she just buy him a boat and be like, I'll swim, you can float, and we can be together?
I would love that. Honestly, like one of my biggest parts when I was a kid that I had an issue with was her becoming a human because I thought being a mermaid
was way better. Yeah. Why would you ever?
I was so confused.
Like we can build a castle, half of it in the ocean, the other half outside of the ocean.
We can find an air pocket.
Yeah, we'll find our way in the middle.
Yeah,
we'll make it work.
We could have figured it out.
Then we'll have little seahorses to sort of kind of make it work.
Yeah.
Interesting
when you get
fact,
to that point, you're compromising too much. You gotta listen to Eartha Kitt. Like, compromise for what?
Right.
Like, you don't need to go that far.
Right. I love
if you're losing who you are, then is it really love?
So I was like peeved when I saw that starting to happen, but then they sort of she redeemed herself. They allowed her to redeem herself and not like he dies, right? And so it doesn't wrap up nicely in a bow where and then they live happily ever after as a human and a cyborg, right? Like and then like him dying actually like fuels her rage. Like she's intense at the end of the movie in a way that I was like, yes.
She's
so here for it. She's like, I see you.
Gladiator.
I know you're looking at me. I don't even have to think about it. I know you're looking at me and I want you to know I see you and I'm coming for you. And I felt that in my soul.
No, for real though. I think it's something about seeing a woman in that place where they're like
in the big arena.
Like, I'm seeking my revenge because I think every woman has been in a point where they feel very powerless, where they feel like the system, the powers that be have forced them to just be complacent about their position and just keep, hustling, moving forward. And she's like, no, this is not going to work for me.
Yep.
She's very, very...
And in that visual, right? Like all of these people are looking at me, but I want you to know that I see you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was
Focus.
it was super, yes, laser focus on what she wants and what she's going to get, which is the only reason why I'm interested in number 2, right? Like,
Yeah.
and if they don't do that like eviscerating, like how it's like lasers were shooting out of her eyes. If they don't do that shit justice in a part 2, then I don't want it. Like, let me think it up in my head. Don't ruin it for me.
For sure. I'm okay with a cliffhanger ending if you're not able to make the second story what I need it to be.
Right.
I'd rather that than a terrible sequel that makes me think like, why did I waste my time?
Why would you ruin it?
But yeah, it was. I loved all the fight scenes. I love
the way that she like beat up people in the fight scenes, right? It was like innovative. Like she stabbed someone in the eye with her whole arm when she had no other body parts. You know what I mean? When you think that she is done, I swear to God, I knew that she wasn't done, but like I really thought she was done. And
but I just didn't know how.
I didn't know how
she was going to get out of this predicament.
And she literally had a breastbone and an arm, and she still like knocked out this dude. Like it just, it's like moms who pick cars up off of their children. It was just like, I'm gonna get this done. I'm gonna collapse afterwards, but I'm gonna get this done.
Yep. Again, that singular focus. She knew. She's like, I'm going to kill you no matter what.
Yes, I love how she like will rip off someone and their arm and like beat them with their own arm. You know what I mean? I just feel like the other, like when dudes are in these positions, just like a big gun, you know, it's like a big gun. I'll shoot you with my big gun. And she's like, I don't even need it. You know what it made me think of in Black Panther when Lupita Nyong'o takes off her shoe and like whacks somebody in the face with it. Yeah. She's like, I don't need anything special. I will get it done.
Right? I think that's a story about womanhood.
Yes.
Like, you know, if we don't have the tools, the specific tools to get the task done, we'll figure it out. Like, if we need to beat somebody off
on the fly,
you know, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. What a great time to be a woman.
It is. It is. I mean, it's still a shitty time, but
I mean, it sucks,
but it is a great.
It could be better,
it's like the best. It's the best it has been, right?
Yeah.
It can always be better, but it's the best it has been.
I think back to my childhood, and I was very aware of the difference between women and men, and what one could get away with and what one could not. I think we're getting to a point where we're really confronting that. It's still not been remedied, of course, but I really like that progress, being able to look back and be like, at least it's better than it was when I was a kid. It's not gotten worse. So that's something to say.
You know, it's a little something. But it also makes it so that in a movie like this where we see this character, I guess on one hand it sucks because it's a CGI character. It's not like a real person, but it doesn't feel so out of reality. If I think about, she's not a secret agent, but she's like a stealth badass that nobody, you know, like thought that she was as good as she is. When I think about other movies with women in those characters, I feel like a lot of them, I'm trying to think of one that I really liked, but if you think about like Angelina Jolie in Salt, or even like Lara Croft Tomb Raider, or Aeon Flux was really terrible. Like it's just like the best probably movie that I can think about is like The Fifth Element with Lilu, right? Lilu is badass all the way through. But some of these other movies where we're supposed to believe as women we can be these powerful things, the movie falls flat and I don't believe it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even Charlize Theron had a movie recently, Blonde, Atomic Blonde, and it was like,
one of the worst movies that I ever seen, in where Pamela Anderson did a movie called Barbed Wire.
And
Lord, it came out so many years ago. It was horrible. But I will tell you though, someone you would never expect to see in a badass kick butt movie is Gina Davis. And if you've never seen The Long Kiss Goodnight with
Oh,
Samuel
but
L. Jackson,
that is a good one.
you have to see it.
That is a really good
Okay.
one. She
Because
is
you
really
will
good.
you will see her do some stuff that you really, honestly, you don't. There's an
But she
element.
is badass.
She is badass. in
Gina
that movie.
Davis is
Oh yeah,
badass.
she is.
Yeah, that's actually James's favorite movie.
I love that movie.
It's a good
Wow.
movie. It's
See,
a good
I
movie.
knew I loved your husband for a reason.
Yeah,
We get along. We're here.
I know.
Love that
So,
movie.
so here's the thing. Let me be clear. I'm not saying there aren't any badass characters, because that is a good example of one. And like Grace. Is it Grace Kelly? In Mad Max, like that's badass. Like there are badass characters, but when the movie, like, there's a badass character in an ensemble of whatever is going on, but when the movie is about that character, I feel like they don't do them justice. Like they don't flesh it out enough. They don't fill it out enough where I like really believe everything that's going on. Angelina Jolie, I don't know why I'm thinking about her so much, but she's done a lot of these characters like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. In
Salt.
Wanted, she was kind of Salt. Wanted with James McAvoy, like that sort of character.
Weird movie.
And in Wanted, I liked her in Wanted, but the movie wasn't about her. The movie was about James McAvoy.
Right.
You know what I
right.
mean? So when it's the movie is about the woman, they don't fill it out enough. And I am conditioned in my culture to not believe it if it starts to look like it could be possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or I'm conditioned to think it's fantasy. It's not real.
I think in light of, like, for example, the Me Too movement and stuff, movies that are being produced today about women need to show women in a position of strength, because that's what society is pushing towards at this point. And so if you're coming at us with a movie with a female lead who's supposed to be all high and mighty and strength and power, and you soften it up with like a love interest, and all of a sudden this is the person that debilitates her, you're taking that power away.
Right.
It's like writing, for example, you have this new movie coming out for Captain Marvel.
I'm interested to see how they're gonna do her.
It's a woman
Same.
lead,
Yep.
and how it's weird because they always say that you have to find some sort of vulnerability in a woman to make her powerful.
Likeable. No,
and
to make her likable.
And not really, because a woman can be badass and be mean and be, she doesn't have to fall in love for her to show her power, or feel heartbreak in order for her to
Find
unleash
her power.
her power. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like women had that power all along, and you don't need a love interest to bring that out of her. And so I think that it'd be interesting to see what kind of movies women will be put in the next decade, because I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see.
Because even Wonder Woman, I mean, Wonder Woman was really good, but they harped a lot on this like regular dude. I was like, you're a goddess.
My point, it's like
an actual goddess.
Yeah.
You're the daughter of a god, right? And and her mom was pretty badass too. You know? She didn't play, and her auntie loved her auntie in the movie.
And the romantic relationship was honestly the least interesting part of the film.
Of Alita?
No, of I feel like it needed it. There wasn't enough.
Yeah, there wasn't enough for Alita. There wasn't enough the rest of the story to cut out the love story.
Right. I wish they could have figured out a way to make her more compelling without having that romantic interest to express her,
humanness,
figuring out her womanness or whatever. But I was talking about Wonder Woman. I didn't find her romantic relationship to be compelling at all, and I'm a romance freak. I love love, but
I didn't believe the Chris Pine thing at all. I was like, Chris Pine.
Right, like it was just like he's a handsome guy, but I feel like they're just so lazy with it sometimes. It's like if they work together, then they fall in love, and it's just
he fell from the sky.
Right, it's just
Chris Pine.
Literally in the movie, he fell from the sky, and she saw this man just fall in the ocean, and she had to dive in after him. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
He could have washed up ashore. And
right.
She could have found him.
Yeah.
Like
the symbolism of him falling from the sky.
Yeah, it's like, who are you? Hi.
I know. Yeah. So I where were we going with that? Oh, the love interest and the strength around it. So I really enjoyed. I enjoyed everything about it, and we can sort of transition from there to the cast because the cast of this movie was kind of big. Mahershala Ali is in it. He's now an Oscar winner, right? Like Oscar winner Mahershala Ali. I love saying that.
He's a double Oscar winner. He won for Moonlight, and now he won for...
Okay, so double Oscar winner. Jennifer Connelly is in it, which Jennifer Connelly I feel like is an underrated actress where the movies she's in when she's really good, they're always really heavy, but she's not popular. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she doesn't do too much.
Yeah, and she's one of those people where you see, you're like, oh, what's her name? I've seen her in, these other things. And then she has a really good performance, but she's not popular. But so she's in it. Edward Norton is in it, and he's a big deal. I really like Edward Norton. And
For sure.
And then Christoph Waltz is also in it, and I think he's incredible. I think he's amazing.
Yeah.
So
and Michelle Rodriguez was in it too.
Oh God, Michelle! I was trying to forget her. Thankfully, she's. See, I feel like you were just having a minute where you're like, was she? I was trying to forget her. But yeah, so she's in it. I don't care about her. And then another character who's fun, who's in it and recognizable is I can't remember his name. British dude from Game of Thrones. He was what's his name? Daenerys's dude.
Love interest.
Yeah.
Switched him out.
Yeah. He was one of the three brothers that do you know what we're talking about?
Oh, one of the original sellswords.
Yes. So he was one of the original
ones with the long,
blonde
funny
hair
face.
Yes.
That they switched over for.
Yes, like you didn't even. They did a Aunt Maxine on him.
Yeah, like we didn't notice.
Like we didn't notice. So anyway,
is it Ed Screen?
I don't know his name, but he's in like the 6th Transporter. He does a lot of these movies, and his character.
Deadpool.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah. He's in Deadpool. He is really attractive, but his face leans to these like weird, borderline psycho, like badasses.
Yeah, he's a dirty Brit.
Yes, the dirty Brit. That's a great.
Oh my God, I fucking love
that is so great. Like he hasn't taken a bath in a bunch of days, but you're like, I can let it slide.
Anytime I see my friends now from the UK, I'll be like, are you a dirty Brit? Tell me the truth.
But not like Ed Sheeran, because Ed Sheeran's also dirty, but it's not the same kind of dirty.
No.
Because this dude...
But I think he's from Scotland, though.
Ed Sheeran?
Yeah. Oh. I think... Or no, he's from Wales. That's where he's from.
Ed Sheeran?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Well,
he's from somewhere.
This level of hot. He's like,
Say that again?
He doesn't factor into this assessment of hot. Like,
Ed Sheeran? Yeah, he can't be over here. But this dude...
He'll be with the nerdy songwriter boys.
Yes.
Like, that's his, like, nerdy artsy.
What did you say his name is? Ed Skrein?
His name is Edward George Skrein.
Yes. So he actually is like a rapper. He's like a British rapper. So he's an actor. He's been to jail.
Actor and rapper. Outside of his rap career, he is best known for his role as Dario Naharis in the 3rd season of Game of Thrones.
Yes, but he's also been in the Transporter. I enjoyed him in the Transporter. But he is he's just got this like badass dirty Brit character thing that he's doing in this thing, and you actually only see his face because the whole rest of him is cyborg. And then I love that they when she messes him up, she like cuts off his face, and he's all like, my face, because he knows he's cute, and he, and he's like, you just ruined me. He was most mad because she broke his nose.
I will tell you though, he can get it.
Oh well, of course.
Oh, I mean, of course.
I wouldn't even charge him.
Right. Well, that's why they only had his face. That's all we needed. The whole rest of him can be cyborg, and as long as he has his face, everybody's happy.
But what I loved about that is I feel like a lot of times when you have these women warrior soldiers, they are the most empathetic versions of being this like, physical warrior character. So they're not going to go for
the kill.
What is your most protected part. They might like try to get out of a situation, but they're not just trying to kill people to show their power. But in this case, she's like, oh, you're going to come for me?
Right.
I'm going to come for you exactly where it hurts. I know you will miss this face. And I was like, yes, like she kept doing things in a way that I was like, ooh, she's hurting them, but
yes,
I like it.
And a great. So she like first she punches him in the nose, breaks his nose, and he still. It's like I was trying to give you an out, and here you come back. So now I don't have time for you. And then she the woman that she fights, the one who's like a scorpion woman who's also just her face. I loved their sort of their fight because it wasn't catty. It was like gully. Like it was legit. It was legit.
It was legit.
It was legit.
It was a real fight.
It was a real fight. And again, I'm making fun of Michelle Rodriguez, but they give Michelle Rodriguez those kind of fights in the Fast and Furious movies. And I think like Fast and Furious 5 or 6 when she's fighting Ronda Rousey. Have you seen the Fast and Furious movies?
I haven't.
Oh God.
I haven't seen any.
It's foolishness. It's loud foolishness, and that's why I've seen all of them multiple times, except Tokyo Drift. I can't get involved. But when Michelle Rodriguez is fighting Ronda Rousey, there's no like hair pulling. Like they are dead ass punching, like real punches to the throat. Like it's insane.
But I feel like that's most of her characters, though. Whenever any of her characters fight, she's not pulling hair; she's throwing punches.
Right.
She even played a boxer once.
Michelle Rodriguez?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember.
And so, I mean, I know that, you know, we're mad at her right now, you know, because she's just nuts.
This is why I appreciate you. You're just like, who we mad at? Yeah, we mad.
Roll with it.
But we already know we're mad at Michelle Rodriguez because we discussed this in a previous episode, so we're still mad.
We're still mad.
So, you know, she's got a lot of making up to do.
And so I appreciated, again, where we're talking about them not sort of like washing her out, the Alita character, that she's just like badass all around, and I'm totally here for it. And she's not even old. I don't want to say old.
She's 19.
I made that number up.
I know.
But
see, I'm listening.
But she's
like
not
300 years old.
Yeah, she's like 300 years old. No, but she's not. So like Gina Davis is like a grown ass woman.
Yeah.
You know, like Angelina Jolie's in her movies, she's still grown. Like this girl is kind of like the next step after like a Disney character. You know what I mean? Like when they gave up all of their Disneyness and
it's
then
like
they came out.
It's like an in-between from like Mulan and like what's her face?
I guess
Angelina Jolie, right? Because
I guess
so
Alita
young,
would be after Mulan.
And she fights and stuff, so it would be Alita next, and then she moves on to her, you know, her Angie phase. Okay,
her Angie phase. No, I thought it was great. So, I guess from here we just go with a final. Like, would you recommend for people to see it?
I would. I definitely think it's worth seeing. For the fighting scenes alone, it was very creative. I feel like a lot of times I'm underwhelmed by action scenes. Sometimes my eyes just kind of roll back and I'm like, I'm just waiting for this to be over so we can move on with the story to progress. But not in this film. I was very tied to all the motions, the camera work, the way that they made the CGI look so seamless. I was very immersed in the world. I know it's not like been doing as well in theaters as they would have hoped for as much money as they spent. But man, I think it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah, me too. And I think if you can get to see it in the theater, even if you see it for a matinee, the effects in a movie theater are going to be awesome. Unless you have a really good setup in your house, loudspeakers and a big screen, and can make it dark. You know, like it's meant to be loud and enjoyed in that sort of like physical way. So I totally am there with you that you should definitely go and see this. I wish as a as one of many critiques that they had spent a little bit of the money. So I think they spent a lot of money on staff, that's not the right word, on the actors, right? Jennifer Connelly, Mahershala Ali, Christoph Waltz, Edward Norton is in it for like 3.5 minutes. Like, I feel like they spent a lot of money. Those people all probably make a good amount of money just for being on the, like, just for putting their name on the paper. But I wish they had spent some of that money on better developing the world that they were in. You know, like we never really saw the city in the sky that everybody wanted to be in. Like, why is it other than just, we don't get to go there, so we really want to go there. Like, why is it cool? How do you know it's cool up there? Just because someone said it was? Like, I wish that they had spent some of the money showing us up there. And then also kind of fleshing, I think there are only like 3 or 4 locations on the ground level that they actually show us. The arena, the inside of the man's house and shop, kind of like the market area, and then the bar that has all the fights. You know what I mean? Like there weren't, and then the bad guy's lair. And
it seems like a very small world.
It's a very small world, but it's supposed to be this expansive thing. So I wish they had spent. I wish they had spent some more time showing like is everybody a cyborg, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they could have been more detail oriented in how they explained how this world worked. Honestly, like it could have felt more like the first Harry Potter movie where they're explaining like this is the money.
Yeah.
Like, I would be genuinely interested in like learning how their world works down there, because like it's obviously very different from ours. Like they've fought this intergalactic battle that's left them in this like post-apocalyptic looking place, and obviously like they feel like it's a tough world. Well, explain why is it tough. All I know is that they're like people who hunts other people, who are in trouble, but I don't really understand in a detailed way why they are so desperate to get to this city in the sky. And unlike you, I actually don't mind the mystery, because I like sometimes when they withhold some areas, I feel like, okay, like I want to know what that city in the sky, but I can wait. Like I'm interested, but I guess like it would be more effective if they had developed all the detail of the world below. So I could really understand like why they would feel so desperate.
I hear you. I hear you. I just got distracted by.
I'm trying to get some cookies.
This dude getting some chessmen cookies out of the bag. See, you're supposed to do like I did before we hit record. I pulled out the whole tray because I knew that I would eat the whole tray of chessmen.
That was an hour ago. And then you set the cookies way back here where I couldn't see them. And now I saw them when I turn around and I'm like, oh no, I got to go for those.
You look so mischievous.
I am.
Oh my God. Well, I just want to say thank you so much. I had such a fun time going to see this movie with you. And thank you so much for coming on the show and doing a little cinema therapy with me.
Thank you for having me. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed it.
Absolutely did.
And the next time you're in Harlem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come in studio. Hang with us.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
It really would be. And we'll get Karen to come on next time. Your other half, the other half of cinema therapy.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
All right. So I'm going to let you get to it. Enjoy the rest of your trip in Chicago.
Thank you.
And I will see you soon.
Give that wonderful dog a hug for me.
Let's do one more thing of where people can find your show. Right now it's on Spotify. I guess if the easiest thing would be to find you on Facebook, Cinema Therapy.
Yeah.
Cinema Therapy Show.
Yes, at Cinema Therapy Show on Facebook and also on Instagram. But if you search Cinema Therapy with a space between the words, you should be able to find it on Facebook.
Okay.
And you can also find us on Spreaker.com, and we will be on Apple Podcasts very, very soon.
Very, very soon. I'm so excited for you. Well, keep doing what you're doing. I'm so proud of you, and I will see you soon.
Proud of you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Have a great night.
You too.
Bye.
Good night.
I freaking love her.
I know. She's amazing.
These cookies are great, by the way.
Chessmen are
we have one more thing.
Always good.
One more thing that we need to talk about, and that is the #MomSoHard tip of the week. What do you have, Miss Candace?
So I have a really simple, like borderline stupid, but
they're always simple, but they're always so good.
You know what I mean? It's little things. It's just the friggin' little things. So
these are not going home.
No, I'm not. I'm not trying to take them home.
Just saying.
So I run a daycare, so I'm like cleaning up constantly, right? And now I have one of the little babies. She's in the high chair, but she's eating directly on the table. And so after she's done, like she is a voracious, enthusiastic eater. So there's food everywhere when she's done. And I've been struggling a lot lately with cleaning up afterwards. You know, when kids eat that's like sticky and it's chunky and then I don't get to it right away. So you're like scrubbing and whatnot. I forgot that if you give the spray, whatever spray it is, I'm not even beholden to any fancy spray, but if you give the spray a second, like you spray it and you leave it, let it soak, it actually does a really good job. Like, it makes the wiping thing so much easier. And I think usually I spray with one hand and I wipe with the other hand. And today I decided, I had some other things to do. So I sprayed and then I turned around and I did a few things at the sink and blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh crap, I got to wipe the table. And when I went to wipe it, it had just like soaked through all the grime. You know what I mean? And it just wiped away so cleanly. And so again, it is such a simple thing, but the sprays have whatever kind, especially the harsh chemically ones, they have so many good things inside of them. If we just give them a second to work, it saves us a lot of headache.
Or you can make your own. A little bit of vinegar, water, and some lemon juice. Spray it on top. It'll dissolve everything, even oils, wipe, and you're good to go.
I know. It's so good. It's so good. So anyway, that's just like, even in our haste, right? Because we don't have any time and you're just trying to like get everything done. If you just give it a second to sit, it fixes itself.
That's all it needs.
I feel like that's a general theme. Like, just take a second to breathe and think about the thing. It sort of works itself out. So anyway, that's where my head was. The other thing I want to say is today is February 28th. It's the last day of Black History Month. I'm like in my feelings, so excited all Black History Month, and now it feels like it's over, and then so I feel a little bit sad, but I'm still super excited because I feel like so many people that I follow on social media were doing these things where they were posting lots of different interesting historical facts about Black people, about African Americans that were in the archives, you know, like beyond Frederick Douglass, beyond Harriet Tubman, just like other things. So this month I learned so much about so many other people and other like big impacts from queer, Black. My friend did a queer Black History Month. So all of his posts were about people in the LGBT community who were also Black, photographers, writers, singers, activists, like all of those things, people I had never even heard of. And then my friend Cookie was talking about people in the Navy over the decades. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so many really cool things that I learned this year that gave me some renewed pride, you know, like I'm proud, but it's nice to have reminders of kind of the depth and breadth of Black
and the scope of how rich Black history is, and how limited we limit ourselves to just current events, you know, things that happen in the last 100 years, not realizing that there's far more.
Like 50 years. Yep. It's insane. And then still, I feel like a couple weeks ago, I was screaming, like, it's Black History Month. Can people just like curb their racism for a second? Just give us a few days.
No.
And like up until today, it's almost comical. It's almost comical.
And tomorrow it'll be crickets.
It'll be just do anything to keep us from having shine. Oh my God. Did you see that Virginia is back in the news?
I don't even want to talk about that.
No, I have to say, the stupid wife of the governor, people were on a tour of the governor's mansion and she fucking hands two little black, it's not even like she gives everybody cotton. She only gives the cotton to the two little Black girls and says, imagine if you were a slave.
Initially, I misread that, right? I'm like, this woman can't be the stupid. Did
God.
They forget to write the word candy behind,
cotton candy?
And no, but it was cotton. And I was like, this bitch, she's got to be stupid. Oh my God. Her husband literally was just, they're calling for his head for admitting that he wore blackface and then saying that it wasn't him when he already had said it was.
Right.
And then his lieutenant governor is being
Terrible.
accused of molesting women so long ago, and then the attorney general or
It's
whoever the next
terrible.
person in line is also came out and said, I also wore blackface, and I'm like, oh my God, the entire
Too
delegation is
much.
going to get fired.
And here she's like, don't forget about me. I'm terrible too.
Oh,
I can't even. It was like, I thought just one more day we could just have this last day. But alas, we cannot. And
but we did have some good news, though. I mean, Mahershala Ali won an Oscar for his role in the movie that he was in. And when Angela Bassett came out, she was on point. Gorgeous woman. Oh, my God.
Yeah, she is gorgeous.
Oh, my God.
I'm going to go ahead and admit that I did not watch the Oscars because I don't care about it at all.
Oh, Lord.
But I did hear that Mahershala won, and the costume director for Black Panther
That's right.
won. Ruthie Carter, I think is her name. Ruth Carter. And then Spike Lee won. Spike Lee won for Black Klansman.
And I love that when he went up to accept his award, instead of, going into the normal spiel, he talked about, the genocide of Native Americans and Black people being ostracized and being, persecuted. He took the opportunity to take that speech and do something far better than any, thank you to the Hollywood Foreign Press or this one and that one. It was just really overall, an amazing speech.
Or it's about time, right? It could have been one of those speeches. Could have been one of those speeches. Now, did Black Panther win anything?
I'm not sure because I had to stop watching it halfway through because I had to go to work.
Right.
But I was super, super stoked because when Ruth Carter won, I was like, not only is she a Black woman, but, this woman dressed the first Black film with a predominantly Black cast, and she made it work and she won her Oscar for it. And I was like, you know what? She better work. And then to top it off, it's like, the icing on the cake was the fact that when she accepted her award, she ended up making a statement that said, Black people made this movie. We made, oh God, what was it that she says? She says, I got to find it. Because I know we posted something about it and it's in here.
While you're looking at that, so Black Panther won for musical score, costume design, and production design.
Yes.
But it did not win for Best Picture.
I put it on
or director. Was he? Oh, he wasn't nominated for Best Director. I forgot about that. Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah. So Black Panther was a nominee for Best Picture, but what's his name? Whose name I can't remember right now, was not nominated for Best Director. And people are like, how can the movie be good but not the director? Anyway.
Goes to show you. So here's exactly what she said. In her acceptance speech, when Ruth Carter won her Best Costume Design award for Black Panther, she said, Marvel may have created the first Black superhero, but we made him an African king.
Yes, I saw that.
That was amazing.
That's true. I did see that. That was really good.
That's what I was trying to remember, and I just couldn't pick up all the words. Anyway, we have to say goodbye.
I know.
On that note,
catch us on all the places. Visit us on Facebook. Like our page. Share the things. Because that's what people say you're supposed to do. And then come back next week because we'll be back next week. All right. Bye. This show is produced by Tom Ortiz at Digital Stream Radio. It's available for download on Podbean. Follow us at Facebook at Breezy Moms Podcast or email us at breezymomspodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, don't stress, just breathe.